जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Jaya Nitai Gauranga Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jamishpad Brahms Parvaraj Kashtottara Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON founder Acharya, BPT founder Acharya, Savior of the whole world, Jayaguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Adhiras Thakur ki, Vrinda Devi Tulasi Maharani ki, Tantra Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki, Shri Nitya Gauranga ki, Jayaguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitya Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, entitled as Narada's Instructions on Srimad-Bhagavatam, text number 36. Kurvana yatra karmani kurvana yatra karmani kurvana yatra karmani Bhagavad Chikshaya Sakra Bhagavad Chikshaya Sakra Bhagavad Chikshaya Sakra Grananti Gunanamani Grinanti Gunanamani Krishnasya Anusmaranti Cha Krishnasya Anusmaranti Cha Krishnasya Anusmaranti Cha kurvana yatra karmani bhagavachikshaya sakra grinanti guna namani krishnasya anusmaranti cha kurvana yatra karmani bhagavachikshaya sakra grinanti guna namani krishnasya anusmaranti cha kurvana yatra karmani bhagavachikshaya sakra grinanti guna namani krishnasya anusmaranti cha kurvana yatra karmani bhagavachikshaya Krishnasya anusmaranti cha word to word meaning. Kurvana, while performing. Yatra, thereupon. Karmani, duties. Bhagavat, the personality of Godhead. Shikshaya, by the will of. Asakrat, constantly. Grinanti, takes on. Guna, qualities. Namani, names. Krishnasya, of Krishna. Anusmaranti, constantly remembers. Cha, and. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. While performing duties according to the order of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers Him, His names and His qualities. Translation with repetition. While performing duties according to the order of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers Him, His names and His qualities. Purport. An expert devotee of the Lord can mold his life in such a way that while performing all kinds of duties either for this or the next life, he can constantly remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc. The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. One should work only for the Lord in all spheres of life. In every sphere of life, the Lord should be situated as the proprietor. According to the Vedic rites, even in the worship of some demigods like Indra, Brahma, Saraswati and Ganesha, the system is that in all circumstances, the representation of Vishnu must be there as Yagneshwara, or the controlling power of such sacrifices. It is recommended that a particular demigod to be worshipped for a particular purpose. But still, the presence of Vishnu is compulsory in order to make the function proper. Apart from such Vedic duties, even in our ordinary dealings, for example, in our household affairs or in our business or profession, we must consider that the result of all activities must be given over to the Supreme Enjoyer, Lord Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord has declared Himself to be the Supreme Enjoyer of everything, the Supreme Proprietor of every planet and the Supreme Friend of all beings. No one else but Lord Krishna can claim to be the proprietor of everything within His creation. A pure devotee remembers this constantly, and in doing so, he repeats the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, which means that he is constantly in touch with the Lord. The Lord is identical with his name, fame, etc. And therefore, to be associated with his name, fame, etc. constantly means actually to associate with the Lord. The major portion of our monetary income, not less than 50%, must be spent to carry out the order of Lord Krishna. Not only should we give the profit of our earning to this cause, but we must also arrange to preach this cult of devotion to others, because that is also one of the orders of the Lord. The Lord definitely says that no one is more dear to him than one who is always engaged in preaching work of the Lord's name, fame all over the world. The scientific discoveries of the material world can also be equally engaged in carrying out his order. He wants the message of Bhagavad Gita to be preached amongst his devotees. It may not be done amongst those who have no credit of austerities, charity, education, etc. Therefore, the attempt must go on to convert unwilling men to become his devotees. Lord Chaitanya has taught a very simple method in this connection. He has taught the lesson for preaching the transcendental message through singing, dancing, and refreshment. As such, 50% of our income may be spent for this purpose. In this fallen age of quarrel and dissension, if only the leading and wealthy persons of society agreed to spend 50% of their income in the service of the Lord, as it is taught by Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is absolute certainty of converting this hell of pandemonium to the transcendental abode of the Lord. No one will disagree to partake in a function where good singing, dancing, and refreshments are administered. Everyone will attend such a function, and everyone is sure to feel individually the transcendental presence of the Lord. This alone will help the attendant associate with the Lord and thereby purify himself in spiritual realization. The only condition for successfully executing such spiritual activities is that they must be conducted under the guidance of a pure devotee who is completely free from all mundane desires, fruitive activities, and dry speculations about the nature of the Lord. No one has to discover the nature of the Lord. It is already spoken by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita, especially, and in all other Vedic literatures generally. So we have simply to accept them in toto and abide by the orders of the Lord. That will guide us to the path of perfection. One can remain in his own position. No one has to change his position, especially in the age of variegated difficulties. The only condition is that one must give up the habit of dry speculation aimed at becoming one with the Lord. And after giving up such lofty, puffed up vanities, one may very submissively receive the orders of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam from the lips of a bona fide devotee whose qualification is mentioned above. That will make everything successful without a doubt. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, 5th chapter, Narada's instructions on Srimad-Bhagavatam. So the context for this verse is that after Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki Shri Nitya Gauranga Shri Prabhupada. So after the great sage Vyasadeva compiled the entire Vedic literature up to the Mahabharata, the 4 Vedas, then 108 Upanishads, Puranas. After compiling everything, he was not satisfied at heart. He was feeling something lacking in his heart. So what happened after that? So he tried to meditate. What is the cause of my discomfort or dissatisfaction? So he sat on the bank of the river Saraswati and started meditating. Immediately Narada Muni arrives there. So that's what the previous chapter was mentioned as appearance of Sri Narada. So when Narada arrived there, Vasudeva received, because Vasudeva's spiritual master is Sri Narada Muni. So as etiquette, Vasudeva offered a nice asana and received Narada Muni and asked this question: what is the cause of my dissatisfaction? I have compiled everything. I have studied and meditated and compiled all the Vedic literature. Then Narada Muni starts speaking. So that's how this chapter named as Narada's Instructions on Srimad-Bhagavatam. So because Vasudeva compiled the major portion of Vedas as a Karma Kanda portion, in the sense, if you want to enjoy material happiness, you have to perform so many rituals, and by which you can get certain material enjoyment. So that is the method in which most of the 90% of the Vedic literature is consist of. So by observing these literatures, Narada Muni started telling that this is not the ultimate purpose of human being. So you made this literature which actually making further bondage to this material life. So now you should actually compile the pastimes and glorify the Supreme Lord directly. So that was the instruction Narada Muni is giving. If you see in the previous verses, so Narada Muni also glorifies Vasudeva that your goodness has perfect vision. You yourself can see the super soul, Supreme Personal God, because you are present as the plenary portion of the Lord. Although you are birthless, you have appeared on this earth for the well-being of all people. Please therefore describe the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, more vividly. So in the literature which Vasudeva compiled before compiling Srimad-Bhagavatam contains indirectly the pastimes are very hidden way it was presented. So now Narada is finding out the fault. Now you directly describe more vividly about the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Lord. So that's what Narada Muni further says. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerity, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of the hymns and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. So that's how then Narada Muni, he himself explains about his past life, how Narada Muni got this spiritual realization and knowledge of the nature of the Lord and activities of the Supreme Lord. So he was describing about his past life, and though in the past life he was a son of a maid servant, and he had the opportunity of associating with Bhakti Vedantas in Chaturmasya time, 4 months. So in his previous life, Narada Muni associated with him very nicely without any proclivities. So he spent 4 months with them, and they instructed him, seeing the very simple boy and very obedient to their instructions, and they instructed him in this most confidential knowledge of the Vedas. So that's how Narada Muni became, or the Narada Muni got that position of the achieving of the most important knowledge of the Vedas by the mercy of the pure devotees he had association in the past life. Now the same, the realizations of Narada Muni is being given to Vasudeva. So in this today's verse, Narada Muni is explaining that while performing duties, Kurvana yatra karmani bhagavas chikshaya sakrit, according to the order of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personal Godhead, one constantly remembers him, his names and his qualities. So this is the instruction which is given by Narada to Vasudeva, that he should compile a literature wherein people of the world will take to the worship of the Supreme Lord directly. So that is technically called Bhakti Yoga. So not the karma yoga or dhyana yoga or ashtanga yoga. So by which one actually directly associates with the Supreme Lord and revives his original spiritual consciousness and attains his spiritual abode. So those are the instructions Narada was giving to Vyasadeva. And Prabhupada explains in the purport. So an expert devotee of the Lord can mold his life in such a way that while performing all kinds of duties, either for this or the next life, he can constantly remember the Lord's name, fame, qualities, etc. The order of the Lord is distinctly there in the Bhagavad Gita. One should work only for the Lord in all spheres of life. In every sphere of the life, Lord should be situated as the proprietor. So Prabhupada is explaining how we should mold our life such a way that whatever activities we are doing, we should be able to think of the Lord. So Prabhupada gave further elaborate analysis and explanations from the Vedas and from the life of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught how we can actually associate with the Lord constantly. Whatever activity we are doing, if we just add the Hare Krishna mantra, chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then we can mold all our activities into spiritual life. We can make all our activities convert into Bhakti Yoga, because whatever activity we are doing and adding chanting Hare Krishna mantra, it becomes spiritualized. So that's what the best method in this age is to attain all perfection of life is to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And further Prabhupada explains, so how we should actually think of the Lord or meditate on the Lord, not by our own whims. That is given in Bhagavad Gita. So here it is said here, Krishna Harusparanti. So to remember Krishna also, we cannot think of our own whims and make policies or make some arrangement for thinking of the Lord. That is also to be guided by the pure devotee or Lord Krishna himself. So that's what Krishna is telling here, Narada is telling, Krishna Anusmaranti. We have to follow the way in which Lord says to remember him. So that's what is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the knowledge, the process which is spoken by the Supreme Lord himself. So the Bhagavad Gita is directly the Krishna's Bhagavad Shikshaya. So this is directly the teachings of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And all other Vedic literatures also compiled by the Supreme Lord in his incarnation of Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva is a plenary portion of the Supreme Lord. So he has compiled all Vedic literatures. So even if you study other Vedas, other Puranas, other Upanishads, these are also spoken by the Supreme Lord. So if you follow them and act according to those instructions, we are following Lord's Shikshaya for remembering him and meditating him and remembering his pastimes. Then there is no difficulty for attaining our perfection. So that's what Prabhupada explains here. We have to take guidance from the Lord directly from Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, or from a pure devotee. So if you follow their guidance, then it becomes very easy for remembering and associating with the Lord directly without any hindrances. And Prabhupada further says, we have to follow the order of the Supreme Lord or the order of the pure devotee. This alone will help attain and associate with the Lord and purify ourselves. So that's what in the Bhagavatam, in the second canto it said, Shrunvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti suguru satam. So if Swakataha, so that Swakata is nothing but message of the Lord. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, all Vedas. If you hear those instructions and the pastimes, Hridayantasto hi abhadrani, all the dirty things from our heart will get dispelled. Then bhakti is irrevocably established. So that's what here Prabhupada is telling. So it's already spoken by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita, especially in all other Vedic literatures generally. The way to attain our perfection. We have simply to accept them in toto and abide by the orders of the Lord. That will guide us onto the path of perfection. So then one can remain in his own position and attain perfection. So that's the message Prabhupada is giving here. And to exemplify this following the order of the Lord, which is directly mentioned by the Lord in all Vedas, as well as pure devotees who instruct the disciples to follow the rules and regulations. If you follow strictly, then without a doubt we attain all perfection of life. Just like to have a example how this order was followed by Prabhupada himself. So in the beginning, in the 1930s, when Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, immediately he told, "You are all educated men, so why don't you preach this message to the English-speaking world?" So Prabhupada took it in heart and he kept it in his mind. He was meditating. Then after Prabhupada got initiation and after writing personally letter, so what is my role, what is my duty for you? And still Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur again told, you have to preach this message to the English-speaking world. So then Prabhupada started fulfilling the desire of his guru, the order which is given by his pure devotee or his spiritual master, who is Uttama Adhikari, and the qualifications are mentioned in this purport. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was such an exalted devotee. And Prabhupada himself got direct order from himself, from his guru, that you have to establish or preach this message in the English-speaking world. So like after that, Prabhupada started writing books in English, Back to Godhead magazine, and getting contacts to go to London or to go to America. So that's how Prabhupada took bold steps to travel, even though he was staying in Vrindavan, practicing spiritual life, associating the deities of Radha Damodar temple, and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and studying the Vedas, discussing, everything was there. Still, Prabhupada was always meditating how to fulfill my Guru's order. So that's how Prabhupada traveled in a cargo ship, Jaladuta, in 1965 and reached Boston. So there he had very few contact. He stayed 2-3 months in a butler, then he traveled to Boston, New York. Then he started, he has no contact, but on the street he is seeing how can I preach to these Westerners. So then he started chanting on a park, and so few people appreciated and came in touch with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada invited them to Bhagavad Gita classes and weekly twice, and made them chant Hare Krishna mantra. So like this, Prabhupada beginning very humble attempt, Prabhupada made it and started teaching this message to the Western English-speaking world. So then in the beginning, Prabhupada was accommodated by Dr. Mishra. He was running a yoga studio. So that was the opportunity where students are already coming to that yoga studio, interested in spirituality. Then Prabhupada started teaching knowledge about soul, the difficulties of material world. We are not the body, we are a spirit soul. Our eternal nature is spiritual. We belong to actually spiritual world. Like that, Prabhupada started teaching to the students of Dr. Mishra. But Mishra was actually from an impersonalist background. So he didn't like the Vaishnava teachings to be given to his students. Then Prabhupada also noticed his discomfort there. So there one student, Paul, he was coming there and attending. So Prabhupada said, I don't want to teach here, I will teach separately. So I will only start my own this one. Then Paul agreed, you come to my house, we start teachings there and invite people. That's how Prabhupada left that yoga studio of Dr. Mishra and moved to 94 Bowery. There is a in the third floor, there is a hall and attached room was there. So there Prabhupada started inviting people and conducting, and like this desk was there, translating books. So everything Prabhupada started there. Then, but that Paul was very young and he's a kind of hippie background and he's attached to drugs. So he was not happily mingling with Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada somehow tolerated and continuing his preaching there. But sometimes the Paul will be more drug addicted and comes and shouts in that room and runs here and there. So Prabhupada has felt discomfortable. Then he thought he may do harm to me, so let me not stay here also. Then he goes out and he calls another student, Charles. Then he is actually a married person, so somehow he accommodates Prabhupada there. And but his wife was not happy that you brought some sadhu here and he is calling and doing bhajan and everything. So there also Prabhupada did not happily conduct programs. Then Prabhupada notices that so they are not comfortable. So he asks, let me also somewhere stay outside and let me change the place. So these are all happening in 1960s. In 1966, January, February, March month, like that. So then Prabhupada moves out of that place, and another student who was coming regularly, Michael Grant. So later he was initiated as Mukunda Goswami. So initially he also hesitates to take himself into his house. Then but somehow after seeing Prabhupada didn't have any place to start classes or teach kirtan and give classes, then he himself find out in the newspaper ads, he found out a rented place. So he found out there is a vacant place in the 26 2nd Avenue. So then Michael Grant, he calls the owner that such and such place is advertised here. So we want to have that place for our Swamiji, Prabhupada. So can we have a look? Can you come and show the house? Then Prabhupada and Charles and Michael Grant will go and sees the house. That is just on the storefront at the main road. It has a very big hall. It was previously a shop. On the top of the head it is written as matchless gift on the storefront. So they got agreement, and Prabhupada didn't have money to pay also. Somehow he inspired the landlord. So the Michael Grant, others are all my members of my organization. So they take my books and they give some money, donation. So you also become my member and give some $21. So landlord said $100 is the rent. So somehow landlord agrees, I will also become member, he takes the books. So now he reduces the rent by $21 and somehow agreement was done. So like that Prabhupada went and started taking his own place and establishing the center. So these are all this is happening July 1st only, in 1966. So then immediately he calls Goldsmith. He was also a lawyer. He was coming sometimes to attend classes. So in 1963 itself, Prabhupada thought of an international organization. So he named it was League of Devotees, League of Devotees Inc. Like that, Prabhupada already wrote a letter, a formal incorporation letter of his institution, which is going to be called as League of Devotees. And the purposes of this institution as a trust he wanted to establish in 1963 only, he compiled and wrote it and kept it. So then Prabhupada thought, okay, I already got the place, now students are coming and learning, so let us also incorporate our society. So then Prabhupada called the Goldsmith advocate and he took the proceedings. He submitted already a written document, the incorporation document of League of Devotees. Now you study this and convert this to suitable to American laws and make a trust NGO in the name of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So that's how the ISKCON was formed, incorporated in America in 1966, yesterday, July 13th. That's how yesterday was ISKCON founding day we had celebrated. So Goldsmith brought it and he was suggesting, why can't we put International Society for God Consciousness? So he was giving argument, this is a general term, everybody appealed to them. Then Prabhupada said, no, I want to put Krishna only because God is vague term. Any term it can. So, but Krishna is the Supreme Lord, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchid Asti Janadaya. Krishna is the Supreme and his teachings I want to spread. So, the institution name should be International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So, like that, in July 13th, 1966, Prabhupada, from that advocate, got it, printed the document, and he wanted the signatories, but hardly there are very few people are there to sign. And in front of that lawyer, this is what is formed, and this board is kept in the storefront. Then whoever was available in the class, Prabhupada called, Michael Grant, you sign this document, Charles, you advocate himself signed, the landlord signed. So that's so, with very few people and very humble attempts, with a very lot of hardships, Prabhupada formed ISKCON. For what? For fulfilling the order of his spiritual master. So, but they're all thinking, what is this international society? We are all very few, and nobody knows this organization exists, or these teachings are relevant for us, or we are just starting now. We have to establish center locally in New York, then think of other countries and other expansion. But Prabhupada already made it, this document already furnished and kept it in 1963 itself. So Prabhupada had a great vision, because this is ordered by his spiritual master, and he want to fulfill the desire of spreading this in all over the world. So that's how the ISKCON was formed, and people didn't know that this will spread to worldwide very fast in 10 years. 10 years only, Srila Prabhupada established 108 tents and 108 centers, and traveled all over the globe 14 times, and made devotees, 10,000 devotees who are practicing this ISKCON principles, and now it is spreading. So all this happened because Srila Prabhupada, sent person, fulfilled or followed the order of his guru, that you have to speak this Krishna consciousness, or chanting, or spread this Sankirtan movement all over the world. So like that, Prabhupada took the bold steps and established the ISKCON organization in 1966, and it is successfully, when Prabhupada himself made it successful in short duration of time, and spread this Hare Krishna mantra and Bhagavad Gita teachings all over the world, and made people to practice principles, whatever work they are doing, but they are always thinking of Krishna by chanting, by taking introduced to chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that's how the Prabhupada achieved the marvelous achievement of establishing the teachings of Krishna and Sankirtan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teachings all over the world, just by following one order of his guru, that speak this knowledge in English speaking world. So that's how, even though in the primitive 1960s it looks like small, but after, by the blessings of Guru, by blessings of Krishna, the movement grown very fast and became successful. So similarly, we can also follow the orders given by the Srila Prabhupada, how we should mold our life. So whatever Prabhupada said in his instruction for us, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulative principles, take only prasadam, associate with devotees, participate in the programs, participate in Sankirtan, visit the holy places. So if you follow the Lord's Guru's instruction, we can also become successful in our life and perfect our life. So we'll end with this. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki.